All right. So I didn't get to join for the last meeting. And let's see if I can make this bigger. Oh, no, you don't want that. Too big, right, guys? Can everybody see the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I didn't get to join you guys for the last meeting, but I know like as we continue to navigate through, right, gaps and staffing and I'll call it pay competitions, right? Because I feel like people are bouncing around for the dollar in a lot of cases, especially when there's districts that are closer. Right, we have neighbors that are pretty close and all of a sudden it's like, oh. So here, I don't know how many of you have a kind of an agreement where if you join us, then you have to stay a certain amount of time in order to not pay a training, I guess, reimbursement for our time and our material and the information. Does anybody else have that?
Nope.
Yes, we do in Scottsdale.
Yeah. And how successful at enforcing that have you been? Because I know sometimes it's like, oh, well, we can't really garnish their pay and we can't really, but what I've noticed is keeps honest people honest, right? I think it's how sometimes people say it.
We actually haven't had to enforce it. We've had a couple applicants that made it all the way to the process where they had to sign. And then once they realized they were going to have to sign it, they just walked out and declined the job.
That's good. At least it saves you some retrain. Anybody else using something like that to protect the investment of training? Oh, let me let Claudia in. Sorry, Claudia.
I've had some recent discussions here at Tempe Union with our HR and legal, and they said that can be problematic trying to recoup those funds. And they suggested that I look more at kind of a reward, like a stipend in increments to keep them on board for that year, rather than taking away.
Right, kind of like the PBIS for our staff, right? I don't disagree with that. I think that I think a lot of us are doing that too. So I just think like when we have to do less with more, that I wanted to talk about just, what does that look like for you? Are you trying to protect the investment with an expectation or a payback? Or I love that too, Sam, where, we're going to reward them for staying a certain amount of months. Because it's very easy. I don't know if I'm sure everybody has a shortage of some sort. It's easy to get stuck in sustaining the day-to-day and not able to look ahead and plan, right, for what's coming. Anybody want to talk about that? Anybody feel bogged down with the day-to-day versus, like where does the time go? I can't even plan or look ahead for professional development or staff meetings or, solid agendas or MAP 21's right around the corner. How are you juggling all the balls?
Very carefully.
Right? It's like if someone said to me, well, I can't do more than sustain the day-to-day for heaven's sakes. Tommy, is it the same where you are, right? The shortages and all the things?
Oh yeah. My terminal where I'm at right now we're short 14, but down the road in Appleton, the Menasha terminal is short 55. Milwaukee is short like over 100. So yeah, it's
everywhere.
Yeah.
What does that relate to in percentage? 100 drivers out of 500, or I'm short about 11 drivers, but that's out of 55, so about 20%.
Milwaukee has, for Lamers, I think Milwaukee has about 300 drivers. Menasha, they've got 120. I have 85 here, and I'm short 14, so I can't complain. But too bad.
That's still about 20%. Yeah,
it is. It is. Yeah, I'm driving every day, getting lost, finding my way around.
In the snow?
Not yet.
Oh, it's not snowing yet. Okay, good.
It's what snowed last Sunday already melted, so I'm okay. I'm safe.
Nice.
For now.
Nice. Anybody fully staffed or close to fully staffed?
I'm
Armando, you may
we-
want to do that lightly.
I know, I'm holding it down. I mean, I got 2 vacancies, but it doesn't really bother us because our student count is down. So I just did every month I do a report for the board, and I just did it for last week for November. And on our 10 regular bus routes, our gen ed routes, our average is 42 kids per bus.
Wow.
So, and then our special needs were 15 per bus. We have 9 special needs routes. So I mean, we're able to consolidate and double up and all that. It really doesn't bother us. But if I would have 2 people walk in right now that had full certification and everything, I wouldn't hesitate to hire them either. So,
Right.
because,
I would agree.
it would drop our average down to about 10 kids per bus and make it more manageable for my staff.
10 kids per bus. Listen to him. So let me
But
tell you what's on the flip side of that. I have some significant growth happening in kind of the
yeah,
corridor. And I have I just split a route that was 70. She had 70. And an 84. And about 6 to 10 kids moving into the community each weekend is what we're tracking. So it's definitely different
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
And right,
We're having
Go
a
ahead.
significant area of growth down here in the Levine area. So I'm sure the elementaries are seeing it too. We have some new communities going in the areas, like between Fairfax and Chavez High School down around Baseline and Dobbins. There's new communities that are going in. So we have some new requests coming in for stops with significant numbers of students.
Mhm.
yeah, that's crazy. What about up north, Patrick? Do you have growth or no? You guys are sitting steady.
Oh, wherever you look around, they're building new stuff, so.
Yeah.
We're not getting a whole lot of new people in. It's, more student housing for NAU and also second homes is a big
Okay.
thing up here.
Yeah, for sure. I would imagine. I wish I had a second home up there.
So, but we've
Okay,
also,
so what's that?
I was gonna say, we've also had, I know there are more parents that are driving their students right now because, the bus driver shortage is a national story.
Mhm.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's everybody's tired, right? And then you just ask them one more day to dig a little deeper and do a little more with less. So really that cheerleading from us as leaders, like right now, super critical. The last thing that's in that second section on the agenda, I just, it is our passion. So patience and purpose, right? So that's when my staff is defeated and diminished. It's like, okay, right? We got to kind of check it. And your leaders and your full-time positions and your core group have to be the example of that. So what I have found is a little bit of, right, don't forget, if you want to be grumpy, get behind that closed door because everybody's watching, right? So anybody having to rally those full-time troops who I think sometimes we're just like, they're going to be fine because they are who they are and they're tired too. So just some of those reminders as we get into the holidays and a little bit of extra time off. Hopefully people can rejuvenate a little bit.
I just got back from going to Sam's Club and spent $200 on gift cards so I can raffle off to drivers for next week and office staff just to kind of keep them going. I mean, we're all overworked and overstressed. I'm sure you guys are as well. It's the 10, 11, 12-hour days just to get the bare minimum done. And we need time to revive as well. I am very jealous of all of you. You will be off probably Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. This contractor side, we're off Thursday.
Oh, really?
Oh, Tommy's not coming to work on Friday. I'm just saying. But the girls in the office, they have to work on Friday, and I'm like, don't do it. Just don't do it. just take the day.
It's,
But, and we
is.
have Green Bay Public Schools is going on Wednesday, just their high school. 6th through 12th grade goes on Wednesday. Everyone else is off. So this splitting between 2 districts, it's for the birds. I have half Green Bay and then De Pere School District. So
Whole different world, huh, Tommy? If you're comparing the contract services to district services, like what a perspective you probably have on that. It's one of the
oh my God,
things on the
there's pros and cons on both sides. One of the pros is not going through the red tape of, oh, I want to purchase this. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, no, you can't buy that. No, you can't get this from a vendor. That I do not miss, the political side, but I do miss being part of the district. I will tell you that, and having set procedures and stuff in place, and not letting drivers just kind of, oh, well, I want this. If I don't, I'm going to quit. Oh, I'll give you $3 more an hour.
that sense of community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you have that, but I do think all of us can probably say without a doubt, you know, most of our folks are committed to their district, to their kids. It's important to them that their route is their route. And so that's when they start taking some ownership, it's better. But I was interested to hear, because one of the things I have on the next section regarding ESSER funds as we go forward, there was a PDF sent out not too long ago, and I can send it to everyone if you'd like, about the things that we're allowed to use ESSER dollars related to transportation. So I think some of us have used for like white activity buses, because staff and coaches can drive those with a lot less training. Maybe you have contracted some actual drivers, or even just, you know, mechanics, whatever it is, positions people. Anybody using your ESSER funds for contract drivers, and how's that going if you are? Nobody?
Well, I'll share. So we're doing something pretty interesting here. We're using, so we created a CDL training cohort where we're using existing employees that you know, come from other areas, whether it be custodial, grounds, security, and we bring them in on their off time, and we're training them to get their CDL and DPS certification, so that if they want to take the next step and become a driver, then we have somebody trained that can come into that position. But then we will also have a set of sub drivers that are already in the district and ready to go, so that when we have high volume of call off, we have people to sub drive the routes. It's something we're really excited about, something that we've really been trying for years, and due to some of the restrictions and things and shortages has come from COVID, we've been able to do that this year. We just started 2 weeks ago and showing some real promise.
Nice. Anybody else using other work groups to support gaps in driver resources? I noticed Lake Havasu, I have some family there, and they've had to cancel bus routes. And I don't know that they join us for TAA events very often, or even at all, but they've had to cancel bus routes for the last several weeks because of a shortage. So I love the idea of using other work groups. The other thing is some of the positions are part-time. So if the district's willing to use some of those dollars for full-time benefit eligibility, then it becomes even more appealing. Like for me, I have a couple of maintenance folks who do it, who drive for me occasionally, just afternoons when they're done with their maintenance shift, if you will. But very much when they feel like it, which don't get me wrong, I'll take what I can get. So it's hard to really lighten the load assigning them to a route, because you still have the morning and some of the other days to cover. So, but I have had the opportunity when I was at Kyrene to use contract drivers from First Student, and We also here are having some conversations about a handful of contract drivers just to close the gap for 1 quarter. I feel pretty good about a pay increase that's coming around the bend here, and I have about 4 people in training with my 14. I have about what you have, Tommy. I have 90 folks and about 14 vacancies. So look, if you want to look into those ESSER funds, it can be used for vehicles, it can be used for programs, it can be used for training, right? Like you don't have a trainer, you're not going to be certified. It can be used to pay for, some certain supplies, a lot of things, as well as incentives. I think it was Sam who was saying we're going to pay incentives for folks to stay versus charge money for folks that leave. Those ESSER funds are eligible for that. So they're allowing us to be pretty creative with it. Armando, do you use the ESSER funds for your coding, the safety cleaning coding that you have on your buses?
No, that's coming out of our capital. It's out of capital outlay because of what it is. And we're gonna use our ESSER funding to purchase three new buses, and then they're also looking at it because we can't let Phoenix Union take all the credit for electric buses, so our board wants us to buy electric buses too. So,
Look at that, little friendly competition and neighbors.
but I tell you what, I went to Canyon State and drove one of the Phoenix Union buses when it was there, and I tell you, I'm very impressed with the performance. And
Really, I wasn't sure.
hopefully it stays that way because it was a very nice running bus.
More,
Yeah, that
did it have
one is.
more power than you thought?
Yeah. It was very, very responsive and,
It's got some get up and
drove
go.
very well. I was surprised.
So Brian, how many of those do you have?
4. So we have 2 of the small ones, the type A's, and then 1 type C and the 1 transit type D. And that's one I think, Armando, that you drove is the type D, right?
No, I drove the Transit.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, what, 000C or something like that?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's is really nice. It's smooth. It's got some pickup. And my transportation manager has been driving that one on because he's been driving routes too. And he says when you've got a full load of students, you can tell the difference, but it's still got some pickup when you put that down. And then one really nice thing about it too is it's got the regenerative braking. When you let your foot off the accelerator, I won't say the gas pedal. When you take your foot off, it starts slowing down like now. So you hardly have to use the brakes at all.
Interesting, exciting. I know that my mechanics had an opportunity to go to the Canyon State event also. I don't know that any of them drove it, but they did come back talking about it. So ESSER funds, if anybody needs help or input regarding ESSER funds, I think that they're allowing us to be way more creative than, at least more creative than I thought with those dollars. It's not on the agenda, but like for us, our COVID cases are starting to spike again, more with staff right now than with students. So I would just say be diligent with rallying your staff to stay aware and engaged in that commitment to safety. I know a lot of districts are not masking up and we're not social distancing because we don't have the resources, but I do believe that it helps to, right, just keep using the mist or the spray or whatever it is that you were using. It's kind of not over. So hopefully everybody is well. So we recently had several districts go out for bond or override. Anyone here, part of that group, go out for bond or override recently in November?
Yeah, ours passed. It was a budget override.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
our override passed as well.
Nice. Anybody else go out? I
Passed our
feel like
bond. Littleton passed their bond.
you did pass your bond.
Yeah, Littleton did.
Nice. lots of failures though, too. So congratulations to those who did pass bond and override, right? Because it's huge for our ability to be successful and continue to replace and evolve and grow programs and things. But I know, like out here in the East Valley, I think some were very surprised at the ones that didn't pass. Like Queen Creek, for instance, is growing so rapidly, and they have a new high school under construction, and they didn't pass their bond, which was surprising. Higley, I think, has always had great support from their stakeholders, and they also didn't pass their initiative this year. So kind of some aha moments as we look to the communities who have always been supportive with the financials. Anybody fail an override or bond that you were anticipating? No? So in our we didn't
district,
go out.
I was just gonna quickly say, our district decided to kind of kick the can for a year, just a lot of controversial things and they just didn't want to, I guess, go through that process. So we'll see where we're at in a year if they decide to put it back out there.
Hard to decide when the timing is right, I feel like.
Yeah, I think we're looking at bonds for the election in 22. So that'll be next year.
I think how do we not continue to try with funding in public education as it is, and especially as it relates to student transportation. And then if you have growth, it's even harder. And then, and I think we might even have some transportation leaders with us today from a charter environment. I don't know. It would be interesting to hear from you. Like, a lot of us rely on, bond and override money to evolve our fleet, but I don't know how it works for your purchases. Is it the same? And because I don't think bond and override is one of the things that you can pursue from a charter platform. So kind of controversial. We'll see. I don't know. Nobody else have anything on? Tommy, how does it work? I mean, I know you're not in a school district, but how does it work in Wisconsin?
They do initiatives on the ballot, the school districts will.
Okay.
But it's I haven't really looked into it because it's nothing that I get involved with. As long as they pay us, I don't care.
Right, I understand. I was just curious how it worked.
You don't see as many here as you do there. Like if there's an initiative on the ballot, it's very rare, and it's usually just for school construction, and that's it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
While we're kind of on this subject a little bit, and I don't know if any of you are fortunate enough as I am, but I work both sides of the table, so I'm on the maintenance side of the house also. But we're getting ready to build a new school, and construction has doubled in cost over the last 5 years. We are building the exact same school we built 5 years ago, and it went from $200 a square foot to just under $400 a square foot. So
well, and keep in mind, Mike, they're saying right now, all the reports I'm getting is realtors construction, they're expecting a huge crash in the spring.
okay.
So just keep that in mind. But all the reports I'm reading is April, May, they're expecting a huge crash of everything. So fingers crossed for you guys that costs go down a little bit. But that's what the everyone's talking about is April, May.
April, May.
April, May, it's all gonna cease, huh? I'm sure most of you remember in 2008 when we had the giant east growth and what have you, but it's like, I wouldn't mind a bit of a slowdown, but the major shift and crash isn't good either, right, for our communities. I think one of the things with the construction, so currently I don't, but when I was at J.O. Combs, I did get an opportunity to have my hand in both also, is right, the delays. I feel like I'm hearing there's a lot of delays for delivery of material and even special trades. Is that true? Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, it is. Steel for the truss and stuff is 8 to 12 months out.
Wow.
So, yeah, we were supposed to start construction in January, and we've actually pushed it to probably April.
Huh. Yeah, it's definitely an adventure for sure.
It
The
is.
growth and navigating through, right, the inability to complete projects on time, or even like for us, we have a ton of growth, but we don't have a bond that's passed for a new school. And SFB says, you know how that works, right? If every campus isn't full, you're not full. So we can't really build, but our community expects, right, class sizes to be managed at the board approved level, and bus routes to be right at the board approved capacity. And so it gets a little challenging for sure.
You talk about shortages. We were just told, I was just told by our fleet manager that our bus purchase was pushed back a few months because of shortage in foam to make the seats and also the microchips for the brake mitigation system.
It's I had some buses delivered recently that were purchased from the director before me, and they're saying like 1 to 2, like almost 2 years for delivery if you're ordering now, unless they have something on the ground, which I think our vendors here in Arizona have done a pretty good job of having some just stock fleet, but how quickly it goes, right?
I heard
Well,
Bluebirds backed up like a year on build out, but
yeah,
I don't know.
it is. It's crazy. Oh, here I come, Eric. Eric Kissel was waiting. Let's see how long he was waiting. Hi, Eric. Sorry that you were waiting on us.
Do we have to let Eric in?
Well, yes, we do. Are you with us, sir?
I say we
There's
don't
a-
have to
there's
let
a
Eric
problem
in.
with his audio. It's connected.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Yeah. He must not be able to hear us. Yeah, so definitely ebb and flow with new fleet. I know of some of my neighbors who are reaching out to other districts who maybe have an abundance and their boundaries are grown out. Can I buy directly from you? Just getting creative with the need for more buses, with no really timeline in sight. So anybody waiting on a delivery for buses, or everybody has what they have? Nobody's in the middle of a purchase.
We're
I've
still
got,
waiting on ours, the ones that are waiting for seats.
And
I'm
even
still-
like, sorry. Go ahead.
no, sorry, I was just gonna say, I've still got 4 I'm waiting on from International.
Yeah. It's kind of a slow go. Even parts, I feel like my fleet folks are not getting parts nearly as quickly either. Okay, but for those of us who have growth, it's like, okay, so what's the creative solution? Now we have a driver shortage and, right, not very many spares on the ground because we have those in service. And so what is it? Is it changing your school schedule to add another tier? Is it a boundary adjustment? Like what's happening, you know, when you don't have the resources? How creative can we get? We're pretty creative folks.
I know last night at our school board meeting, they started the conversation about a 4-day work week. So.
Really?
I don't know how that's gonna go, or how far it'll go, but then the other thing was, I see it's pay increases is the next one, but they also talked about the minimum wage increase coming in January. And so they voted to allow payroll to start paying the people that are minimum wage people, you know, more. And then the board questioned why we were not increasing it to $15 an hour.
I
and
love
of
your
course-
board.
And of course, you know, our HR director and our finance director, like, you know, stumbling and, well, we're not prepared for that because we've got to make sure everybody else gets moved up, which is true. But eventually that could be something we discuss. And so they were going back and forth about that. And the board basically put them on point that because we did not get a pay increase this year, that they expect to see a significant increase for next school year when they approach the board in February or March or whenever
Yeah,
they.
but are districts really going to be able to sustain these increases that they keep giving out? I mean, I'm not going to mention any names, but $20 an hour for a starting, and funding keeps getting lower and lower. How long until these boards come back and say, we can't do this, we have to do pay cuts? And
Well,
in this industry, they can't say, well, we're just going to eliminate those positions and just not hire back. They're not going to continue to sustain this. Throwing money at this problem is not going to do anything. I'm sorry. I'll get off my little horse now.
No, and I thought about that too, Tommy, because a lot of this money is being paid with ESSER funding, which expires in 3 years. And that's one of the things that we discussed here, because they said, well, we can throw all this money, but in 3 years, we still don't have the money to keep it going. So that's why we're not doing anything as far as increasing pay or whatever, using that federal.
We're all paying more for fuel right now. I mean, outrageous amounts of fuel. I'm sure you've already gone to your business manager and said, hey, increase my fuel budget because I'm paying $1.90 more a gallon. That's just going to take out of it also. And supplies, we can't even get them, so they're charging us more when we need to get them now. So it's just, it's not sustainable. I've always had an issue with just throwing money at drivers, raising that. I get it, we need a more substantial, but it's also a part-time job for most districts also. And my big thing is they're not going to sustain it. They're going to start cutting positions, and then they're going to come back at you guys and be all ticked off because, well, what do you mean you can't get kids to school? Why don't you have enough people? So
I think that's one of the questions we asked when our governing board was passed that tremendous level increase and pay increase for bus drivers with Dysart. And so the people at the district office and on the governing board and in our superintendents, our assistant superintendents who are over all of that budgeting have assured us that it is sustainable. So I'm going to take them at their word and just keep my fingers crossed. We went from needing 24 drivers at the beginning of the school year to now I think I'm down 10. So it's helped us a lot. And it was only down 4, but then we have some people, of course, that are going through their retiring right now at this time of year.
Yeah, it's good. And, as transportation leaders, I think we can all agree that certainly our folks who transport students in the yellow school bus are worthy of a pay increase. But like you said, if it's not sustainable, how do you juggle it? And I mean, there is something to be said for morale district-wide, right? So someone mentioned the cost of living or the minimum wage increase that's coming in January, which I think is close to 7%, if I'm not mistaken, for anybody who's making minimum wage. So for a lot of us, that's our food service folks and our maybe some of our custodians or our noontime aides or crosswalk guards or monitors, right? But then, right, always the challenge is now they're coming up to meet someone who's been in that position for 5, 6, 10 years, and they're surpassing them in pay because the minimum wage has gone up, which creates a feeling of inequality. And so how do you fund it all? I don't know. And I guess that's a conversation for, that you can't do everything. My business office says often, I can increase the federal mandate, which is unfunded, requires the increase, but you can't keep your longtime loyal folks because the people who just got here got the increase. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Eric, didn't you just recently increase your driver pay also? Mr. Kessel?
he ain't listening to us. I think he's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
We
To
did,
answer
we had
that
a,
for him, though, they did just recently increase their driver pay. They gave them steps versus a specific dollar amount. So all the drivers got 3 steps on the pay scale.
Wow.
So do you know, Michelle, how they funded it by chance? Like, was it ESSER funds or was it capital dollars, or you're not sure?
You know, it wasn't ESSER funds, it was capital dollars.
So then, no, that's good. That's good. And I
Shannon.
know Kyrene, yes.
Oh, sorry. Did your board ever approve their perfect attendance bonus you were talking about for your drivers?
Yep, so we did it back to back 3 times. So if you know, because at that time, I think I was 20 drivers short. So ESSER funds, so not really a sustainable requirement because it was a one-time payout. So anybody who had perfect attendance for 30 consecutive school days, I did not have to cover your route, got a $500 COVID attendance stipend bonus, whatever we called it. And then, so until I got beneath 15 vacancies, we did it. So you had the potential to get a $1,500, right? Just to come to work for 90 days. Kind of crazy, right? But it was effective. So if you were on the fence and maybe you could make it to work, but you didn't feel like it, because we all have some folks that probably could muscle through, but don't. I think that's where it really helped us. It's like, gosh. I mean, if you're sick, you're sick. And if your family needs you, obviously they need you. And I understand that. But for the days when it's like, maybe they could have made it and they chose not to come, there was some value in that. And the ESSER funds that are either still being spent or distributed to departments, there's a very clear paragraph in that document of the eligibility to use it for that. So it was good. It was positive for us. And now it's done, and we don't have to, as Tommy mentioned, sustain it years and years, right? Like it's a one-time payout and no pressure to. So I think it shows some appreciation and identifies the need, but it doesn't require, budget capacity. So I don't. The last thing I have on my list is the MAP 21 and the FM. As we get closer to the transition and the requirements and kind of the drop dead date, is everybody in a good spot with their registration and their training material? Anybody have any thoughts, conversations, questions regarding that?
Yeah, I'd just like to kind of put out there to others that maybe don't have the space at their facility to meet the requirements. I mean, we're doing okay with our material and everything, but who out there is using alternatives for a training facility that may not have the space or the required elements for a facility at their yard?
Right. So I think is anybody registered to be a facility that we could go to if we're not ready? Is that right, Brian?
Yeah, that type of deal.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know anybody here welcoming other districts to participate in training because they're ready and the others are not. Nobody? So maybe we can do a little bit of a deeper dive, and when we come back together next time, find out who is offering it, or what do you really have to do to become, right, specifically the training facility where
you have to register. You just have to register the site through that training provider registry. You have to put all the information in, and within, I think it's like 10 or 15 days, you get an email back with a training site number. So, Dave has already registered, but Kyrene doesn't have the room to do it. So they're going to go use Dave's site in Scottsdale to do it. All they have to do when they submit the information as the trainer, they have to use that training site number that was given to Dave for his site on that paperwork. So, I mean, there's really not much more that you have to do. You just have to make sure you're registered on that training provider registry. It's been open for about a month and a half now. Has everyone done that already for your sites?
We have, and I
Okay.
think Irene was there.
Okay, so it's about a 10-day turnaround to get the number back. We registered 40 sites here. So now we're getting to the point where we can start registering the trainers that we're going to put in that will be able to report all the stuff. So, and then I just purchased, I think it was $380 through JJ Keller and Associates. They have an instructor book and then a student book, and you also get on USB drive for CDL general knowledge, and then they have one for school bus and passenger also. I just purchased that. It's actually pretty good stuff. I will tell you that right now. For $300, it was pretty much worth it.
So was that, Tony, in order to not have to revise all of your material? You're just
We're
replacing?
recording, so I can't say much of anything about how they don't have anything for training here at all.
Oh, got it. So did you guys get that? JJ Keller has some material
Yeah,
options.
JJ
that's
Keller has some good stuff.
with map 21. And so I have a question. If my site is registered to train my own folks, that's it. I don't have to have a second or a different level of registration to support my neighbor. That's
No,
good. I
because
think
this training, the registration number has to be used to say where the trainee was trained. So it just
Okay.
has to be one of the registered sites for the training. If it doesn't have that, DMV, DOT, they're gonna kick that right back out that you did not meet the qualifications and it wasn't done at a certified spot.
I started.
No one's gonna come out and do it and like inspect it. You're just registering, you have a classroom site and a site for your skills testing.
What were you gonna say, Carmen?
So Dysart is registered for all of that. But I was thinking if somebody needs trainers, though, our trainers are so bogged down right now with running routes for sick drivers and all the training that's going on. Every week starts a new driver class right now because district office thinks that that's a good thing.
Yeah. And then just
Has, authorized trainers, I'm sure they could come here and use our facility.
well, and just remember, under map 21, the trainer, you're self-certifying the trainer under map 21, 2 years of a CDL.
Right.
Arizona has the extra step for school bus certification. They have to be a school bus trainer in Arizona. So
Right.
I think there was one district, when we talked about this about a year ago, they were going to go ahead and keep school bus trainers, but they were going to have everyone else that had more than 2 years be their CDL trainers. Something you may want to talk about and think about. I think that's going to be very convoluted and could get confusing as to who did what, because your map 21 can do general knowledge and passenger and school bus, but they can't teach minimum standards and all that stuff to count towards an Arizona certification. So you're going to need the two things, in Arizona, so you guys can figure out who trained what and what can I send to DPS to get certified on. So you can do one trainer for your license, but you can't do one for your school bus cert in Arizona.
But you could,
Who does all that?
so that's a great point, but you can, as long as they've been a trainer for a year in Arizona, they could do both.
As long as they're certified through DPS as a trainer, they can do both, yes.
Right.
But map 21 just says anyone that's had a CDL for 2 years is a self-certified trainer for general knowledge, passenger, school bus, and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that
just keep
opens
that
up
in
all
mind.
kinds of- Interesting. I'm sure I heard that, but as you're saying it, it's like, oh, I don't even think, I would imagine most of us won't even go there, right? Our trainers who train school bus will do it all just as they always have.
For me, the best practice would be if they're a certified school bus trainer, they do all your training. Don't use anyone else that's not a certified school bus trainer because of your cert card in your state. Just keep it that way so it's one person that does everything. Best practice in my mind. So
I agree.
and
So
I
guess
believe
what I'm
that's
saying
the
is-
trust. I believe that's the trust recommendation also. Is to
Jason,
use your
can you-
certified drivers, your trainers.
Right, and the trust has sent out some great material on getting prepared for map 21 transition. If you haven't seen it, or if you need to see it, or you need us to resend it, let us know. It's been very helpful. And the great thing is you can go back and watch it more than once, right? Like, because there's always an aha moment in the second or third time that you get to see something. And we can check with Jason. He can join us today at a conflict, but he and Stephanie can share with us for sure what their recommendation is. So if you have questions or if you need clarity on anything, just reach out to each other or us or the trust or your board. The village, right? It takes a village, and for sure with the ebb and flow and the ever-changing, just day-to-day grind, we're happy to help each other. I think that we've wrapped up our agenda. So if anybody has anything they want to share, now's the time we should do that. And then just remember, if you want me to send you a copy of the ESSER fund applicable transportation expenses, I'm happy to do that. And then answer any questions. And then also we'll send out an invite for the next meeting. I know we're approaching Thanksgiving next week. So best of holiday celebrations and a little bit of relaxation to each of you. Definitely a well-deserved break.
Except for Tommy.
Tommy, we're sorry. We're sorry you can't take the 3 days off.
But I'm not coming in Friday. I already told them it's not happening. So
Yeah, it is good to see everyone for sure. It seems like I said to my staff recently, like, I'm not really sure what's happening, but all of a sudden it's 4 o'clock and all the things I was gonna touch and do and whatever, like the grind has been just a little crazy. So it's good that we stop and continue to have these conversations for sure, already almost at the halfway point of the school year.
4 o'clock, Shannon? You mean like 5, 6?
yeah, who goes home at 4, Shannon?
Seriously.
No, not to go home. I'm just saying, oh wow, it's 4 o'clock and I still got 10 things on my list.
Dude, it's dark at 4:30 here. I've not seen my house in daylight except on weekends.
Oh, see, I did say recently to my family, I'm a lot less productive when it gets dark early.
But Michelle has family pretty close, so she can get up here anytime and come drive with us. At this point, she can
That would
take
be
over
an
Ripon.
adventure. Have you
I even-
done that,
I even
Michelle? Have you
hate-
driven a school bus in the snow?
No,
I was
just
gonna
in
say,
Arizona.
I was gonna say, I even hate saying anything because I go home at 2.
Ah, la madre.
Ryan
Oh
takes
my
over.
God.
Ryan takes over and works till 6, so
At
And let me
2,
guess,
we're
he
going
comes
out
in
to get ready for the afternoon route.
he comes in at like 9:30 or somewhere
Oh
around
my
there.
gosh.
So,
It's lucky that we're on Zoom or we might be throwing things at you.
There's not even
We might
snow yet.
anyway.
It's an hour
You know what?
drive to get to work.
He also said he was fully staffed, so.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right?
Just like,
Right?
just wants
And
to
I only
get the target all the way
have
around. today.
I only have 10 kids per bus. So,
Brian's closest.
Right.
Brian,
Oh.
go take
I
care of
think we
that.
should permanently mute Armando because I'm tired of hearing
Right.
how good he's doing.
Right? Bring your tomatoes. Bring your tomatoes to throw at Armando next time. Armando,
Hey,
I have to
guys.
believe that through your career though, you've had the grind of the 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. days.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, we had sports buses out, and we're elementary district, so we had sports going on till like 9 o'clock last night. Because we
Well,
do
I have a sports
sports
till
within
midnight.
our district. Yeah, and I mean, it's nothing like AIA sports or whatever, but we had to catch up with all the kids who got quarantined and games were canceled, so they played through till about 9 o'clock last night. So then the drivers were here, 5:30 in the morning. So I have to give it to them that, they're, of course, we threatened them with the blackout date and everything too, so.
Right, exactly.
I don't know. Can y'all hear me at all? Hello?
Yes.
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is Brenda Fernandez over here in Queen Creek. I am so sorry. I don't know why I had an hour difference on when the meeting was being held.
Oh, that's
Sounds
okay,
like it was.
Brenda.
Yes, I'm the new kid on the block here. I just wanted to say good morning to everybody, and it's so good to hear everybody else's opinions, and it's awesome. You guys sound like an awesome group of folks.
We're glad to
Well,
have you.
welcome.
We've been chatting a little bit via text and so glad that you're interested in kind of joining the forces of this crazy
Yes.
ride that we all love, right? We
Yes,
are
well,
close,
I just
we are
got
close
back
to
from,
wrapping it up for today. But
Take
for
this
sure,
group with a
we'll,
grain of salt.
yeah, well, I just sent 8 buses on a field trip and there's a lot of things here. This is a charter school district and trying to bring them into the public school kind of requirements on school bus. It's like a startup. So I've been having a good time, but it's a big challenge. And we are definitely short drivers.
yeah, all of us are. Well, if we can help you in any way, let us know. Some of us are very close to you logistically, and the rest of us just good resources. We are happy to share whatever we can share to make it a little easier.
Awesome. I will need that help, I'm sure. But again, I just, it's good to hear you all, and I like the bantering back and forth. I'm glad to be back with school bus. I went on the private side for a few years and I missed school bus. I had a choice in what I did in this job, and school bus was it.
Very good. Yeah, I think it all gets under our skin, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. But I will tell you, when I interviewed, I have to share this because I laugh every time I hear it or repeat it. But when the superintendent person type here for this charter school and the HR director, I asked them some questions and I said, what kind of buses do you have? And, I wanted to know where they were, Bluebird, International Freightliner, blah, blah, blah. And they looked at each other and said, yellow ones. So,
Oh my God.
so I said, okay, I think I have my work cut out for me, but they were dead serious. That's about all they knew about transportation. So it's been fun. I get to teach, right? That's the way you have to look at it in a positive note.
Yeah, it's a teachable moment for sure. And I think all of us, public and otherwise, would say that our district leaders only know what we tell them.
Yep.
Right. That's why it takes a village, for sure.
Yep. Well, thank you again for inviting me to the meeting. I will be on time and on board for the next one.
Linda, we'll send out an invite for the next one soon, and the next TA meeting's board meeting happening in January. And then, of course, if you haven't already, visit the website and take a peek at some things that might be helpful. So welcome to Arizona.
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all
Okay,
have a great
guys.
Thanksgiving.
You too. If no one has anything else, we'll wrap it up and get an invite out to you for the next adventure.
All right.
Bye, guys. Stay
Good.
warm.
Thank you.
Bye, we will.
Happy
Miss
Thanksgiving.
you.
Be safe.
Bye, everybody.
All right, guys,
Bye.
thanks for joining.